Request to the Brooklyn party.
Hello and welcome to the Fitz and Healthy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Fitz, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Cinthanie from Cinthanie.com. What's up, girl?
Hey, girl. Hey. Hey, people. Hey.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Fitz Friday Live. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Fitz from the Fitz and Healthy podcast. And you guys, you notice that I am surrounded by Christmas, right? And it is not because I have decorated my home, but I'm actually at Disneyland. Why am I at Disneyland, you ask? I am attending a major business conference called Mega Success. I had a brain fart real fast. And that is the topic that I want to talk about today is leveling up. So Cinthanie, first things first, how are you doing?
I'm doing. I've been living under a rock this week. I feel like I have just had my blinders on, just trying to really get some things done. So I feel like I've been living under a rock.
Absolutely. Well, not just getting things done, but you've been leveling up. You literally just told me right before we went live that you are leveling up and your business is going to that next level as of next week. And I want to give huge shout outs to all of my entrepreneurs out there that follow me because you guys, you know that on the Fitz and Healthy podcast, we like to essentially help you have a healthier, happier life. And that means both with your health, with your finances, with your mental health, with just being the very best you. And, you know, one thing that we preach is always working on you. And so a lot of people have followed me in this journey and you've seen me go to business conference after business conference. So Cinthanie, will you tell people the first, because we talked so rarely before. Tell us about the first business conference you ever went that you invested in yourself to help yourself get better.
I don't know, honestly. I think it was probably Platinum Edge.
Okay.
Which is a business conference that is specifically for Beachbody coaches, which is what Lauren and I are. And I remember thankfully my mother-in-law was there. And so I didn't feel too out of place, but I was so intimidated to be there. And I just felt like a first grader. I just wanted to absorb as much information as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My first business conference was actually here in Orange County. It was a business conference called Smart Success. And that was the first time I remember you not only feel like a child, but you feel like your brain is being hit with so much information. It's not even funny. Yeah. And since then, I've been to quite a few business events. There have been some that have been coach related. People know that I was in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago with terrible internet where we did Fitz Friday Live. Thank goodness Disneyland Hotel. Shout out to Disneyland Hotel for having good Wi-Fi because when we do these shows on the road, sometimes it's a little spotty. But this particular conference, it is literally full of stars, which is kind of cool because the whole concept behind conferences like this are to learn from people that have gotten to a place in life that you want to get. Our goal here on the Fitz and Healthy podcast is to get people to think outside of their norm of mediocrity, right? Because so many people go through life just living a mediocre life. And, is that bad? Well, it depends on who you ask. Because for me, absolutely. If I feel like if I'm not living in my fullest potential, then I'm not fully satisfied, right? And this particular, honestly, since I got back from the business conference in Vegas, I feel like me personally, I have started to level up to my next level. And people that have been watching me online, they know that I've done a lot of live broadcasts lately. I want to address that when you are in your passion and you're where you're supposed to be, that leveling up is easier. Granted, I've been working my tail off, but it hasn't felt like work at all because I feel like I've got this bigger mission and big things to accomplish. And it has everything to do with me leveling up and going to that next level. Okay, you're young. You represent the millennial generation, right? What was the first time that you ever realized, like, okay, I could be better and I need to start working on me, and I can't just go through life and just, keep doing what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for me, it was like more of like a experience of where I was at, because Tanner and I were living in Seattle at the time. We were both like maybe 19 and 20, and he was working all the time. And like, I just was not happy. I didn't like my job. I didn't like that he was gone all the time and stuff. And like, that's really like the first time in my life where like, I realized that I could change it if I wanted to. I could do something about it if I wanted to. And it took, unfortunately, getting to like a dark place for me to realize that. But thank goodness that I acted on that feeling of the fact that I could change this, because it has been a domino effect and has completely changed not just the way I do business or that I knew that I could run a business, but just the way that I have carried myself is a completely different way than I did even 3 years ago.
Absolutely. And, I think that that's a good point. Sometimes people in life, when they get to their darkest, lowest point, that's what it takes for a lot of people to realize, like, you know what? I have two options. I can either wallow in this misery and stay where I'm at, or I can choose to do something and get out of it and go to that next level and do something different, right?
Yeah. I think that the most empowering thing about that is no matter the circumstances that you're in or how old you are or how far gone you feel like you are, you can be empowered. You can change the circumstances that you're under, even if you feel like there's no way out. You always have the power to change that. And just knowing that is empowering in itself. Just deciding to be empowered, like just deciding to take action or take control, is something that will completely shift even the way that you carry yourself and deal with those situations. And they'll feel completely different because of how you're carrying yourself.
Absolutely. So I want to talk to our listeners that are at a mediocre place in life, and they're like, okay, Lauren, that sounds all fine and dandy, but I don't have money to go to a big event like you go to all the time or whatever. So I want to give you guys pointers on where to start, because it's kind of a road, if you will. So the first place to start is working on you. And this is a no-brainer for me, but this has been part of my daily habits, routines every day for like years now. And of course, our podcast episode where we talked about daily habits and routines, we dealt with this a little bit, but just starting your day off with intention, meditation, and just gratitude, and just really starting to focus on the internal. A lot of people don't utilize all of the free learning and personal development that is available to them, but they just sit in a place of mediocrity, right? And so number one, the first step is just working on you. The second step is to evaluate the people that are in your life. And, I think it was, I don't know, I think it was Jim Rohn that coined this phrase, but I've heard it repeated multiple times. But you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. And, I look back at different times in my life, like when I was in medical school and even before medical school, like in college, like I wasn't discerning with the people that I surrounded myself by. And yes, I have achieved a lot in my, 37 years, but I feel like I still haven't maximized myself yet, because everything that I've learned has accumulated to this point of, I know that apparently I need more coffee this morning. This is like, I'm fumbling on words this morning unusually. But just being aware of who you're surrounding yourself by, right?
Yeah.
And then the third point is start looking at events, because yes, this is a paid event that people pay, a lot of money for tickets. Like people go to places like Tony Robbins events where, they're life-changing. But you'd be surprised at how many events like this are free that are open to the public. And ultimately those kind of events, yes, there's usually a product or service that's being sold, but there's still a lot of free content out there that people can use in exchange for listening to the promotion of whatever content is being, sold.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I remember that was kind of, I went to MIA, and that was what I took away from it was, man, every single speaker wanted to sell me on something, but the fact is that every single speaker still added value to my life. And we say on the Fitz and Healthy podcast that knowledge is potential power. So it's what you do with that potential power, if you decide to execute it or not, is the game changer.
Totally.
So I know that, this time of year, especially in the business that we do, it's slow for a lot of people because we're approaching the holidays, and people are struggling, right? Because they're trying to save money for, Christmas gifts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I challenge people to level up and to get out of that mindset that, oh, I'm just gonna, make bare minimum, or I'm gonna, work bare minimum or whatever. And because there's no magic to, November 17th versus January 1st, right?
Yeah, totally.
The difference is mindset. And that's what I want to challenge our listeners is that, have you been ignoring the fact that you need to level up? Because I think a lot of our listeners will binge listen and follow my live videos, but then if they don't do anything with it, that's ultimately wasting my time, because I want to empower them to do something major with it, right? Mm-hmm. So do we have any comments or questions that we can address?
We do. And I think that this is kind of on the, the topic of leveling up and being empowered. And Autumn wants to know, she said, how do I stop getting bullied?
Oh man, that's a great question. Do you want to answer first and then I'll put my 2 cents?
Well, just like you just mentioned, you are some of the people that you are surrounded by. And I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, that you have to be very protective of your energy. You only have so much energy during the day, and you can only give energy to so many situations, people, or things. And you have to be so protective of what consumes your energy, because it's precious, right? The energy that we have is basically our time, and how our time is spent is how our life is lived. And so if you are allowing people to absorb your energy that don't deserve it and be consumed by that, it's unfortunate that you won't be able to remove yourself from that situation if you can't step back and realize that you're giving your energy, your precious energy that you have, to people that don't deserve it.
Oh, amen. So true. And, to add on to that, because I 100% agree with everything you say, Cinthanie, but to add to that, working on you will build your confidence. And let me just tell you that confident people are bullied a lot less. I mean,
or they just hear it less. They just let it roll over their shoulder more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because the fact is, I mean, I've pretty much been a confident person because, shout out to my mom and dad, they definitely instilled a huge sense of confidence that is not dependent on my waistline, my education, my anything. It's just who I am. Yeah. And have I ever been bullied? I'm sure I have at some point, but I think it's kind of like, it's the same phenomenon that a female that walks around with their shoulders over and their head down and with, this look of, I can easily be taken advantage of. That's the female that a bad man's gonna do something to, or take advantage of, or manipulate, versus a woman that walks in confidence and holds her shoulders back is not going to be, the likelihood of her being bullied is much less. And how does that happen? I mean, this is why I'm one of the many projects that I have that I'm working on is my own online confidence academy that I'm hoping to roll out in 2018 to help, because so many people that find me on YouTube find me because they are too shy, nervous, or embarrassed to go to a gym to take a dance fitness class, right? And they feel like they will get, bullied or made fun of. And so that right there, they start to dance and they start to feel that taste of confidence. And those are the women that I want to help the most. And yes, there are men that I can help too, but for the most part, my heart lies with the female that is just completely just needs to learn how to start loving herself and really what that looks like. Because in theory, you hear that love yourself, but what does that mean? And how does that manifest? Good question, Autumn. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, that is a great question. So kind of piggybacking on that, Rebecca said, I'm having a really bad bout of depression and I need to come out of it if I will be going down the suicide road, not there yet. Everything that we even just mentioned, just reiterating, I mean, your energy is so precious and you are precious, whether you feel that way or not. I believe that the creator that created all of us creates no mistakes, whatever you believe in, but you are so precious. And whether you feel that way or not, you need to know that. You need to know that you're not a mistake and you deserve to be here. And that, again, being empowered and focusing your energy on loving yourself and doing whatever you need to in order to feel that way. You have to love yourself in order to receive love from other people. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but at the same time, it just starts with, even in the morning, just affirmations. Like we talked about on our podcast. I mean, affirmations have been life-changing for me. And so if you don't feel right in your mind, you need to do things to change the way you feel in your mind. And affirmations, I think, is something that is so important to that.
And also, Rebecca, this is a topic that is very serious, that I don't want to minimize at all, because if the thought that you're even worried that you might start to think about something major like suicide, you don't need to ignore that. It's just like if you have, high blood sugar and on the road to diabetes, you can't ignore that. You can't just, okay, it's there, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So the fact that that that's even a potential possibility, I want you to reach out to the person that loves you the most on this earth. So to some people that might be their mom, to some people that might be a sibling, to some people it might be a friend, and it has no blood ties whatsoever. But I know that there is someone on this planet that loves you unconditionally for the way you are. And I want you to share with them, look, I know that you know that I am battling a bout of depression right now. I'm concerned that it may turn into this down the road. I'm not there yet, but can I ask you to help hold me accountable to check in with me? Because if life gets busy, and as much as our loved ones love us unconditionally, sometimes they can be blind to the fact that big stuff like that are even going on.
Yeah.
And so having someone, when I was practicing medicine, that was one of the things that, there's the patient-doctor confidentiality where, a patient tells me something and I it's just like a lawyer with their client, right? I can't tell anything. But the few times that I can break that confidentiality are when a patient tells me that they're suicidal or they're homicidal. Or if there is abuse of children, children and elders. So those are the three circumstances as a physician that, Rebecca, if you were my patient, I would definitely seek out help so that I could get you help, because depression is no joke, guys. I know that, people that have never suffered from it don't understand the vast depths that it can affect a person. But truly starting to, just like Cinthanie said, I totally agree with everything that Cinthanie said, but also get a loved one involved. And I'm not saying that that's going to solve everything, but at least that brings someone into the equation that is aware of what you're going through.
Yeah.
And oftentimes just community alone helps get people out of a dark place, So yeah. So good question, Rebecca. And please keep me up to date, because we care about our listeners. So
yeah, totally. And that's the thing is we always hope that you receive the message that we put out there, which is that you are a good person and you deserve good things to happen to you. And that means deserving a good life, and you are deserving of that. Please know that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Dee wants to know, she said, what are some exercises to lose lower abdominal, hip, and back to get a more hourglass shape?
You want a Coke bottle. Okay. You want to address that, and then I'll add my 2 cents.
For me personally, I don't believe that you can just like target one area and just do that.
Reduce.
Yeah, I personally don't believe that that's a thing. I definitely think that you can work certain muscle groups, but I think that really focusing on your overall health is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely, I believe that God gave us, a particular body shape because, most people, we can look at our parents and be like, oh yeah, I got my mom's booty, like for sure. But that being said, like from the back, it's got a nice round part, but then my glute medius are like basically hypertrophy. So hypertrophy, I just totally made up that word. I need to I need to work on my glute medius. No. I know, right?
Lauren needs coffee.
Yeah, no, I tried to get here so early. You guys usually were here at 8:30 Central Standard Time in the morning. But obviously we started late because it rained in Southern California. So I literally woke up at 4:30 so that I could get ready, get all my stuff, walk my dogs, and get here in time. And it just didn't happen. So coffee, I've got my my Rebel coffee. Have you tried that yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I haven't. I don't drink coffee anymore. No. I like cold turkey quit drinking coffee in February. So
this is something that Melissa introduced me to in Vegas, but you can get it for sure at Whole Foods. But it's REBBL, and they have a few different options. But the one that I always go for is the one that has no sugar added, and it has MCT oil added to it, and it's organically brewed, cold brewed coffee. It's so good. So I haven't had that yet today. So yeah. Anyway, so my point, so one of the best things to do for your midsection is your diet.
Yeah.
And I know people don't want to hear that. And that's why I'm so excited because this beta test group that we're about to start, the before and after pictures are going to be like mind blowing.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, do I believe in doing core work? Absolutely. Because under the belly fat, there are muscles, right? And for you to work on muscles doing, like planks and push-ups and overall total body exercises that involve more than just one muscle group. But that being said, like for me, my glute medius, I need to work on building that muscle because genetically, fat does not go there. Right. And so if I can't get fat to go there, I want muscle to go there to round out that glute medius. So there are definitely some exercises that you can do that are specific for glutes. One thing that I've learned really just in the recent past is that what a lot of us are doing wrong that want to actually focus on building the booty that we all want, that some people pay for, is that a lot of people do, and myself included, do exercises that focus on the quads and so you're building your quads but not really focusing on your booty. So doing booty specific exercises like bridge lifts and donkey kicks and using the booty bands, those are all great ways to build those muscles that you can't just put. I mean, if you want to go pay a plastic surgeon to put fat back there, you can, but most people don't want to do that. So
there are free ways to do that through exercise.
Yes, but it takes work. It takes work.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, but
absolutely.
It's not impossible.
Nope. All right. Any other questions we got before getting going?
There's a comment here from Candace that I want to share that's really powerful. She said that, I'm assuming you don't mind me sharing this, Candace, since you put it here on our live.
Is it Candace Schultz?
No, Candace Naughton. She said,
okay. What's up, girl?
She said, I took my own life 13 years ago and was revived and hospitalized. Abuse and bullying is why. Even though I still struggle with depression, it is so true that surrounding yourself with positive people, exercise, and good nutrition make a world of difference. As someone that's been there, I'm happy to chat anytime with somebody that's thinking of making the same mistake that almost ended my life.
Oh, dude, that just gave me chills everywhere.
Yeah. That's very powerful. Thank you, Candace, for sharing that. That's really awesome of you to open up. No,
we appreciate that greatly. And that being said, I think that social media is good and bad because social media, the bad part, I mean, we could talk about it, for an entire hour, right?
Yeah.
But one of the good things is that it actually does create real social relationships. And, you know, I mean, just the fact that like the moment that you said her last name, I know the Candaces that follow and are fans, right?
Sure.
And,
yeah.
And, you know, a lot of these people I haven't met in person, but the moment that I meet them in person, it's like I already know them. And, you know, a comment like Candace just made is real. And she truly means that, hey, I will help a complete stranger so that they don't have to be where I was at 13 years ago, you know?
Yeah,
and,
totally.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, social media has brought us to you guys, you know, and so there are positive communities that you can find through social media that maybe you don't have access to otherwise. So seek those out. Definitely seek those out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So any other questions before we get going?
I'm practicing high fat, low carb. Nikki wants to know. She said, I'm practicing high fat, low carb in my workouts. I'm hitting a wall at around 30 minutes. My muscles ache and I'm breathing hard. And I'm the instructor. Help. How can I prevent this?
So I think probably what is happening, if I had to guess, is that you probably haven't truly gone from a sugar burner to a fat burner, that you've depleted your glycogen stores. Because if you have any adipose tissue, that's your backup, right? That's your backup fuel. So going from a sugar burner to a fat burner, you have to be intentional. And what I see a lot of people do wrong when they do the high fat, low carb or ketogenic is that they think that they're eating that way. But then when it comes down to it and they start recording it, and, you know, an app like Fat Secret or MyFitnessPal or whatever, they realize like, oh, okay, I thought that I was eating this way, but I'm not. And if you are eating, you know, a certain amount of carbs and protein, you will stay in the sugar burner stage, and you won't be into the fat burning stage where you utilize fat as fuel. And so that's probably what's going on. I also always, especially for my fitness instructors, want to make sure that you realize the importance of hydration, because your blood vessels are basically your fuel tank, and you fill that fuel tank with hydration. And so those vessels, like, and I know that so many females will understand when I talk about this phenomenon. When you sit down and you stand up too fast and you're like lightheaded, that's your body basically, all of a sudden your blood vessels have gone from this, and you stand up and then they have to squeeze real tight to get blood up to your brain. And so if that tank is fuel, it's called orthostatic hypotension, that the symptoms of that are much less. Like, a lot of people can battle that orthostatic hypotension, that lightheadedness, that, I saw black for just a little bit, if you stay hydrated. So hydration is important. And, you know, as a coach, I like to see people's food journals. I don't see my clients' food journals every single day, but when they're having, you know, struggles like this, I'll have them, you know, show me what they're eating so that I can help, you know, give some suggestions. So any other questions before we get going?
We have quite a few more.
Okay.
Lindsay says, and this is kind of a funny question. I love that she asked this. She said, one question. I love Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cabbage. I don't love the side effects. Not to get gross or anything, but how do you deal with gas or reduce the gas produced by certain vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, or Brussels sprouts? Is it normal to get gassy with these things?
Yes. One good way, that's a natural way, is to take digestive enzymes. I have a brand that I really like by Thorne Laboratories. That's THORNE Laboratories. I get it on Amazon. Digestive enzymes that you can take, you know, 30 minutes before you eat a meal that's like that has that side effect, if you will. So you're not alone, but our body functions so much better when eating mostly vegetables.
Yeah.
So don't stop eating those vegetables. Those are all so good for you, and they have so many benefits for you. So
yeah, for sure. So Quinn wants to know, when doing a body detox, would you recommend the teas or pills, or to just do it naturally?
Detoxes are a funny topic. And in fact,
yeah.
in fact, you know, there's a great podcast that I just listened to the other day from JJ Virgin, where she interviews a physician who was an engineer, then went to medical school, got her MD, and then she went and did extra training and is a functional medicine doctor. And she actually talks about detox. So go check out the JJ Virgin podcast. podcast. This episode, I don't remember the physician's name, but it's great because it talks about detox specifically, because there's so many people that do detox the wrong way. And there's, and sometimes doing the detox the wrong way can lead to like really bad side effects.
Yeah.
So go listen to that podcast, and maybe we should do an entire episode about, because that really we could, because a lot of people know that we're associated, we partner with Beachbody, and Beachbody actually has a really great detox system. It's a 21-day, it's called the Ultimate Reset, and it's methodically gives you vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are above and beyond to support you going through a detox. So, but not all detoxes are created equal. And I'm not just saying that because I'm partnered with Beachbody, but it's not something you should do on your own. I will say that. Yeah,
definitely. It definitely should be something that's guided.
Sure.
Okay. So Jen wants to know, she said, is it okay to exercise while sick?
That's a great question. I personally don't, because I'm always telling people, listen to your body. Now, depending on what exercise is, because, some people, going out for a walk and walking your dogs is considered exercise. And if you feel good enough to do that, listen to your body. But I actually, one of my attendings in residency, we were on OB anesthesia, and she told me about, because she was one of the people that's like-minded, very into health and nutrition and taking care of herself. And she was telling me about one of her colleagues that was super into fitness. He didn't listen to his body. He exercised while he had just a typical upper respiratory infection. And what happened was the particular kind of virus that was causing that got into his myocardium, so the muscles around his heart, and caused basically cardiomyopathy. And so he basically went from having a healthy heart to having an enlarged heart that he needed like a heart transplant. So I'm not saying that you're going to need a heart transplant, but it goes back to, you don't need an MD to answer a lot of these questions. You need to listen to your body and just common sense. If your body is sick and you're not hungry, hey, guess what? Drink bone broth, drink water. But like our body tells us, our body's the smartest machine we will ever own by far. So if your body is telling you to just lay on the couch all day or lay in bed, do that.
Yeah. And our bodies heal and repair through rest. So if you are in a situation where you're ill and you need to be able to heal and repair, I'd say rest. I'm not a doctor, but that's just what I'd say.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. We are good.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for spending Friday with us. We'd love to get all of your questions, your input. If you haven't gone and subscribed to the Fitz and Healthy podcast, we would appreciate you greatly. If you leave a review, we would love you even more, because that's how we get our word out. And the fact that we're almost at 200 reviews and we've only been around since May 1st, it's huge. So we just shout out to you guys for that. And if I'm not sure if we are totally full with the beta test group, but if you have been hearing me talk about,
there was a question about the beta test group. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
I just saw that as you said that. So CJ wants to know, she said, during this beta test group, will we be learning how to continue and maintain the eating program?
Absolutely. The whole idea of this
goal.
Exactly. For sure. So and the people, we opened up the group this week. So we already had our first set of live broadcast. I am the amount of work, time, and effort that has been put into this by those of us that are heading this up is I can't tell you how much, because this is like this I know it's going to change people's lives. It's going to be it's going to be the thing that gets the people off the diet roller coaster that have been struggling with their weight, and they've been jacking with their hormones this whole time. So I'm super excited about it, because I know what it's done for me. So anyway, much love, you guys. Thank you so much for spending Fitz Friday with us. And we shall see you next Friday from who knows what location. You never know with me. You never know.
True. You are a good person and you deserve good things to happen to you.
Amen. Much love, guys. Make sure that you find us on social media. You can find Cinthanie on Instagram and Facebook at Cinthanie. So that's CINTHANIE, and on Snapchat at Cinthanie P. And find me on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Club Fitz Fitness. Remember, that's FITZ Fitness. And on Snapchat, just at Club Fitz. I appreciate your time listening so much. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fitz and Healthy podcast, can you please go do me a favor and go subscribe at whatever platform that it is that you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. We read every single review, and we appreciate the time that you take to leave your thoughts and opinions. Now, also remember, while I am a medical doctor, the information I provide here is not intended to provide medical advice or a professional diagnosis, opinion, treatment, or services to you or to any other individual. I am providing general information for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for medical or professional care. You should not use this information in place of a visit, call, consultation, or the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. The information I share is not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or medical condition. If you believe you have a medical emergency, just call 911 immediately or your physician. Now, enough of that medical legal jargon. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate your time. Now, go live a fit and healthy life.